Want some? Get some. Can I get a hell yeah? Yes, I am a pirate. You have to go with the pirates because, of course, they have cannons and everything. It's a pirate's life for me. Be proud of who you are and what you are. You're pirate. It is a first down. Pirate. Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. Or you don't coach at East Carolina, you don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it. I think I've ever been in a building as loud as that was. It was deafening in there. You live with Omaha? I can promise you that. And it's purple all night long in Eastern North Carolina.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
My heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down to my soul, and I don't back down, not at all. Find out when the cannons explode.
Welcome in to TSO Wednesday Night. We would normally say the Pirate football preview, but there's nothing to preview as far as football this week, as far as on the field. But Johnny Robertson, how are you, sir? All the way in Northern Virginia.
I'm doing very well tonight. I am very honored to be on here with Bethany and Dickie. Can I call you Dickie? Or what do you
Absolutely.
prefer? Okay.
That's
didn't
my name.
But yeah. I do want to say, I mentioned this to Bethany pre-show, that I didn't know a lot about, your time at East Carolina. But I was impressed that you played two sports, because that's pretty difficult to imagine. But you not only played two sports, you pretty much dominated two sports. So I'm after learning more about you, I'm very impressed and ready. I'm sure you have some good stories to add to that to be even more impressive.
No doubt about it.
Thank you very much.
In fact, Bethany Bradsher back as you've been with us for a number of years. I think going all the way back first year, 2018, I believe. But glad to have you back. And I know this project is going to be a lot of fun. Dick was with us pre-COVID. I think it was 2019, pre-streaming. So we're streaming live on Facebook. Let's see, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And coming soon will be X. So we have that. But we've come a long ways. We used to record the show and edited everything together. And now it pretty much takes care of itself. So we thought we would have you guys on tonight since there is, like we were saying, there's no game tomorrow. It's hard to say on Thursday nights. I love Saturday games. I'm just old school like that. But anyway, we normally do our preview on Wednesday nights, but we said, hey, I know Bethany reached out to it. And I heard about the project, and then I didn't know it was already out. And then you reached out to us a few weeks ago, and I was like, I think I know the perfect spot is that when we have our bye week where we can concentrate on talking about football and baseball with Dick. And the book is I Am a Pirate. Looking forward to hearing about that. I know you don't want to give too much away, right, Bethany, when you want to sell a book. So talk about, I guess where we can start, we're going to talk about your career, Dickie, but Bethany, talk about the process of how did this whole project get started? And then Dick is such a great star. And I know I talked to him on the phone after we recorded our interview, and he was one word I told the guys behind the scenes is Dickie has charisma. That was the word that came up for me.
Yeah. Well, for me, I got to meet Dickie through Harold and Tracy Robinson. So, Harold Robinson, also a legendary Pirate and former coach, and former legendary high school football coach in the East. But I had worked on a book that Harold had written and put together about his childhood in Little Washington, North Carolina.
Oh yeah.
And so it was a really fun project. But at some point, Dickie was with the Robinsons and said that he had this idea for a book, and they were able to connect us. And about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, Dickie, when did we meet at Chico's?
I think it was late November.
Okay, so it was a year ago. We're fast.
Yeah,
we work fast.
Maybe early December or something like that. Yes.
Yeah, so we met at Chico's, and the project was born at Chico's, which is where all great things must start in Greenville. But yeah, it was really fun just to hear a little bit about his vision for the book. And I think I've edited and collaborated on books with a lot of people, and I never know for sure if they have the gumption to write as many words as it takes. A book is a lot of words. You dig in and you can't really believe it once you start. You go, oh gosh, that's one chapter and you're telling me I have to do 20. Some people just can't quite get there. And I know I told him, we're not doing a pamphlet. We don't want a brochure, Well, that was not an issue. Dickie wrote he wrote about every season at East Carolina and had a whole lot more that he wanted to tell from behind the scenes and just what it was like to be a student at East Carolina in the late 60s, early 70s. So he was sending me chapters and I was editing and we were putting the whole thing together. He has hundreds of photos, more than 100 photos in the book, and also some wonderful tributes to his teammates from his time at East Carolina. So my role was just to keep him going, set some deadlines, and help him turn all those memories and all those amazing stories into a wonderful book that Pirate fans are just going to love.
So your time, Dickie, was that 67 to 71?
Yes, my first freshman football. Back then, you had freshman football teams.
Right.
So my first freshman was 67, and my last baseball season was 71. So
you were part of the, not to jump ahead of things, but obviously one of the things we're disappointed with the COVID year is not having the 50th anniversary of the Marshall game and all that. I think it was November 14th of 70. And I know that we've talked to the coaches and read and different ones that had different players like yourself on during that time period. But disappointed we couldn't get that game in for the 50th anniversary. And we were talking just a few weeks ago, it won't be long and it'll be the 60th anniversary of that unfortunate day. And I'm a history guy. Johnny knows that, and I think Bethany may, but that's one of those, I'll never forget. I saw the movie We Are Marshall the night before the 2006 Birmingham Bowl game, or at that time, the PapaJohns.com Bowl, and they didn't even have pizza. But anyway, great story. And I know you have a lot of great teammates during that time. And I guess that's where we could start is your freshman year. Can you talk about, you were talking about freshman football, talk about that versus like what we have now with the red shirt, and we even have transfer portals and NIL and a lot of crazy stuff that we would have never dreamt of back even during my time in the 90s.
Yeah, I talk about that in the book. We had 110 freshmen come out for a freshman team. Many of them were walk-ons, probably most of them. I don't know how they recruited back then. I would say half of them were on some sort of scholarship. And I think what they wanted to do was, we couldn't recruit against the ACC schools. So they wanted to get as many players they could get in and weed them out and maybe get 5 or 10 players. That's the way I looked at it. After 2 or 3 weeks, we had 45 left. So 55 left, or 60, whatever it was, after 2 to 3 weeks. They were gone. So our freshman team ended up with 45, 50 players. And I put it in the book. In some ways, I think that was really good, and it shows the difference now. I mean, if you're a freshman now and you come into ECU or any ACC school, you better be really good, or you're just going to stand around and sit. You're not going to play. So we had games. We had 5 games a year. So, and then we scrimmaged against the varsity. Who knows whether that was right or wrong, but that's what happened.
That's crazy. Bethany, one question I have for you is that Dickie played before our time, and what did you learn from Dickie as far as those early days, or the freshman year, or his playing time?
Well, I think some of it does speak to just how different it was, but just the real dedication to ECU that I mean, you know, there are college players and collegiate athletes who are devoted to their school, but it's a lot harder to be that these days. And there are, you know, collegiate athletes who are going to play 4 different schools in 4 years. And so he absolutely, along with his teammates, were dedicated to this school and have remained so. As you will read, just, you know, when you're reading the book, his devotion to the program and to the memories and to the way that it formed him and his teammates as men, their relationships with their coaches. I mean, it's just was very compelling, and a true loyalty to a program that, you know, unfortunately we've kind of lost. And I don't know that there's any way it's going to come back. So those that would like to know what that was really like, he really epitomizes what it's like to be at a place for 4 years and to just bleed purple and to come back now, you know, every chance he gets. And they have their own tailgate with a bunch of their teammates. And it's just a really powerful, special community that they've been able to form.
Johnny, did you have a question?
Well, I was just going to ask Dickie about his senior season for football. There was a coaching change, correct, from Coach Stasovich to Coach McGee?
Yes, thankfully.
Yeah, because your numbers really, I was just thinking if you were in that kind of offense for, you know, 3 or 4 years or 2 or 3 years, I mean, your stats would be even more amazing. You really, really blossomed your senior year. And I have a feeling it was your skill and also maybe the offense was a little more fast.
We ran the single wing offense. And the single wing is a running offense where you run. And you run and you run and you run, and then you pass when you have to. And so many people have asked me, why did you go there? Because I could have gone to a bunch of places where they threw the ball. In high school, and I put it in the book, I caught 65 passes my senior year in high school in 8 games. So I was a decent pass receiver. But the reason I went to East Carolina is I was on a split scholarship. That was the only, all the people that recruited me, that was the only, ECU was the only school that split my scholarship where I knew I could play baseball and football. Every other school, and it's probably like that today. I'm pretty sure it is. I was the first one to get a split scholarship. And I do not, to my knowledge, there's never been another one that had a split scholarship for 2 major sports.
Wow.
It was a blessing for me because I knew I was guaranteed I could play baseball. Football, if you're on 100% football, they want you. Spring drills, winter drills, all that. And I worked hard at getting that split scholarship. So that is one of the most, I'm most proud of how that worked out.
Awesome.
One of Dickie's claims to fame is that he never had to participate in spring drills.
Yes.
So
Now,
baseball was a convenient excuse for that.
Spring football.
Spring football is not fun. It is not. I'm sure it's not today. It was brutal back then.
At least that's what they told you when you looked over there and saw them from the baseball field.
As I was walking to the baseball field with my glove and looked over there and saw what was going on.
Doesn't look fun.
But
Dickie, you mentioned your high school career. You were a Meadowbrook Monarch, right?
I was. How did you know that?
Well, I'm an Oakton Cougar. I'm heavy into Virginia high school sports, so I'm very aware of Meadowbrook Monarchs. Now, you're the first person that can answer this question for me. I've heard the legend that in the late 60s and early 70s, you all had an actual live lion on the sidelines and at pep rallies. Is there any truth to that at all?
You know what? It is.
You're asking the right person.
Yes, absolutely the truth. Pauline and Juke Boken raised lions for about, I guess 5 or 6 years or something. I was in college, I guess, when they stopped. But I dated Linda Boken. We got married. We dated through high school. She went to ECU a year ahead of me, and she was an English major, and I say that in the book. She was really, really smart, and she kept telling me, "You got to come to ECU. You got to come to ECU." So I went to ECU, Her parents raised the lions. I would go over to her house, and there would be a lion on the coffee table, like this 70-pound lion, just laying there. You could pet him like a cat. It was like unbelievable.
Wow.
So that is a true story, Johnny.
Was he ever unruly during a game, or was there any?
No. And
any
you know what?
episode?
They would get him in August when he was a little guy. I would say like 20 pounds. And then by the time baseball, and they would take him to all the games, all the football games, all the basketball games, at pep rallies and whatever, baseball games. And then by the time the end of the spring, you know, it was a pretty big guy. It was maybe 80, 90 pounds.
Wow.
And it did escape a few times. They had some land. They had like, I don't know how many acres, 10 acres, but it did escape a few times.
So what was his ultimate end? Like what? Because I mean, the handler was no longer around, or
No, there was no. They were the handlers.
okay. So
Wow.
They raised the lion.
oh my goodness,
Yes.
That
that's
is
very interesting. Hey, I want to follow it up with one more Meadowbrook question.
Sure.
I think that you were in the same graduating class as Lanny Watkins. Is that true?
Lanny was a year younger than I was,
Oh, okay.
and his brother Bobby was 2 years younger.
that's
And
my,
look, we had great athletes at
that's
Meadowbrook.
that was my grandparents' favorite golfer.
Lanny Watkins.
Absolutely. That is the guy that I rooted for because my grandparents got me into. I'm one of the people that I actually like watching golf on television, and it's even better now that it's in high def
Sure.
versus standard. But yeah, absolutely. He was so excited whenever Lanny would be on television. He would get like excited. My grandmother's to the point of where like it was soap operas or whatever. She would like get you to stop talking or whatever because she wanted to watch whatever was going on the television. That was way more important than company, I guess. So
Yeah, Lanny, Bobby, Johnny Grubb was. He was a year ahead of me. He played in the big leagues 15 or 16 years. We had some great athletes. We had 5 players off of my high school baseball team that had scholarships, partials or whatever they had to play college baseball.
well, talk about that. We've been talking about football. Talk about baseball. Baseball's got such a rich tradition. And by the way, I want to plug your book, Bethany, Coaching Third. There, it's a great book. I've read it 2 times. Yeah, and I do read, believe it or not, Johnny. But anyway, I wish I had more time to read. But it's a great book about Coach Keith LeClaire, and that's just really that story is so hard, because I really felt like as a person, he spoke to one of my best friends' church. The men's club back then, and my friend invited me, and every time, in fact, his very first interview was with Henry Hidden at the Denny's on Memorial Drive, and he talked about Omaha, and everybody looked at him like, "What's Omaha?" Like we didn't even know what Omaha was, honest to God, until him. And so I know you probably did, Dickie, but talk about your baseball experience of the Pirates and what that was like back. That was before our time. So it's good to have you on to know more about it.
Wow. Like I said, I played 4 years of football, 4 years of baseball, 4 seasons. The baseball was so awesome. It was so awesome. My freshman year, I was in awe of all the great players we had. Coach Smith, who was the baseball coach at that time, told me we had a preseason meeting, and when he saw me play in Legion, he told me he wanted me to be the shortstop for the next 4 years. That was the last thing. He had never recruited me, but in the book you'll figure out how that happened. But anyway, he gave me the split scholarship, and then before my freshman year, we had a meeting. He called me into his office and said, "Look, Dickie, you didn't play in fall baseball, so we have a senior and a junior and somebody else in front of you at shortstop. So I don't think you're going to play much." And in the book, I say that was such an uplifting meeting for me. But anyway, it motivated me. And after about 5 games, I didn't start the first game. I started the second. Couple games after that, whatever it was, maybe the 5th or 6th game, I started at shortstop and started there for 4 straight years.
Wow.
Never sat out a game. But it was quite an experience. Our freshman year, probably the highlight of my baseball career at ECU, we went to the regionals. Back then, it was easier back then, actually, to get to Omaha because you went to the regionals. If you won the regionals, you went right straight to Omaha. My freshman year, we beat Florida State, who were ranked #1 team in the country. We beat them, but it was like a 13 or 14 inning game. We burned both of our starters. So we won that game and we lost the next 2. So that was probably the closest we ever came. But I got to go to 2 regionals. That was such an awesome time. I love playing baseball at ECU. It was so much fun. I mentioned this in the book. We played like 35 games at the most, including the conference championships and the regionals.
Wow.
And now they play 55 games, regular season games. I played with Hal Baird, who became the baseball coach at ECU. He was one of my teammates. He's in the ECU Hall of Fame. We're very good friends. He puts the foreword on my book. He does a really nice job with that. And several of my teammates, and 3 or 4 football players. Rajay Harris does an endorsement for me. Yeah, so it's been quite an experience writing this book. It's been a lot of fun, and like I told some of my teammates, and I think Bethany joined us for a tailgate. We still tailgate together. After 50 years, it's about a group of us, 7, 8, 10, 12 sometimes. We all tailgate together. Can't wait to get everybody together each Saturday, home Saturdays. And we just have a great time and we talk about stuff. And Bethany got to see that a couple weeks ago. She joined us for a tailgate, and I was very happy that she did that.
So Bethany, talk about that experience.
Oh, it was so much fun. And it was really fun to see, I know this because I've written a number of books, but this is Dickie's first book. And just to see how gratifying it is to have people get it in their hand and be so excited. And he's got some friends and teammates who have already read it. He's got at least one teammate who I think he read it in a day, the day he got it. And there's nothing like people just being so excited about it because you're spending all this time at your computer and figuring all the details out to make it a reality. And now it's a beautiful book that people get to hold in their hand. And so people were coming up to Dickie's tailgate, his teammates, but then a couple other people who just heard about it, who were coming up and wanting a book. And I just thoroughly enjoyed getting to meet. I knew all of their last names. He would say, this is Wes. And I said, Rothrock. And he said, this is Grover. And I said, Truslow, because I spent so much time with this book. I felt like I knew them all. And one of the things I wanted to mention, I talked about that community and how deep-seated their friendship is after 50 years because they were so devoted to ECU. And one of the things that kind of got the ball rolling on the book is Dickie started emailing the profile from the media guide back then when they were, all players to his football teammates. And then he would make comments about that player and his memories. And then some of the other teammates on the group email would make some comments back, and it became this kind of thread where he would send one out every once in a while. And from that, he just really decided that there needed to be a little bit more of an official project. But I just love their traditions and how meaningful, how much they mean to one another.
One of the things, because people ask me, why did you write this book? How did you come about? And Bethany's exactly right. That's kind of how it started. And then I realized after researching there's never been a book written by an ECU athlete about their experience at ECU, which I was just stunned by.
Wow.
No athlete has written a book about their entire career. There's been athletes that have mentioned ECU and whatever, but my book is in depth. It's in depth. It's about the games. It's about the stories. It's about being in the dugout with me. It's about being on the field with me. It's about being at the elbow room.
I was about to say, there's a lot of elbow room in this book.
Either of y'all heard about the elbow room?
Oh yeah, I was my era was still part of that in the 90s, and the elbow room, man. I tell you what, I worked across the street from the elbow room at the sports pads during the 90s, so I got a chance to I told the story. I'll tell this really quick. There was a head bouncer, I guess his name was Bozo, and
Sure.
he was a cowboy. I haven't seen him in a really long time, but he told the story, and I don't know, Dickie, I doubt this was you, because you were before his time, but he told the story of how they had like this small area that if you didn't cause any trouble, a little bit of trouble, they would kind of like force you out of the elbow room. He said, but there would be like Marines or different people that were fighting really bad. And they had like this back area. He'd probably kill me if he knew I was telling this story. But this back area where it was not pretty. So he told that about how there were people that were coming in there just trying to cause trouble. I miss those. I do miss those days of Fifth Street where there were a lot of legendary places like the Attic, the Elbow Room, and then my time with the Sports Pad, Wrong Way Corrigans, Bowleys. That's what, when I see Fifth Street, that's what, I remind. That's what's in my head.
I do too. The Elbow Room, I never saw any issues there. I really didn't. I knew the owner very well, and I talk about him in the book.
Yeah.
It was just all the college students went there. It was the reason it was called the Elbow Room, because you couldn't move from Wednesday to Saturday night because it was packed. And they played beach. It was a beach music kind of atmosphere, 25-cent beer, that kind of thing.
They had didn't they have what was it? Like you could bring a cup and you could get draft beer for a penny, or it was something really like small, like and if you're a poor college kid, a penny or 50 cents dollar is like big time. But
I devote a small chapter, right, Bethany, about the Elbow Room.
Yeah.
It was a big part of my life.
It was a big part of his life, an important element.
It was a very important element.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how college athletes do that kind of stuff now. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But we just had such a great time. One of the stories I'll talk about in the book, Ron Hastings, who's a great pitcher for us. He led the nation in ERA my junior year when we went again to the regionals, and that we couldn't get out of that regional either. But anyway, after he was a 4-year teammate of mine. He's in the Hall of Fame, actually. And we went to it was at the end of the year, and it was before everybody left and stuff. He went to the Elbow Room with me and a bunch of our teammates. And he said, Dickie, he said, he's from Conley, North Carolina. I don't know where that is. He said, I got one more thing to do at ECU. I said, Ron, what do you want to do? He said, I want to throw a beer mug up against the wall in the back. You want to do what? He said, and I'm good friends with the owner, right? And he goes, and it was a Wednesday night. It wasn't that many people in there. They had a back room, and the back wall was cinder block. He said, I've always wanted to do it. I've been here 4 years. I said, all right, Ron, come on. So we went to the back room, and he did. He took one of the glass beer mugs and smashed it up against the wall. Persini came over. I mean, they, had a couple bouncers that came over, escorted him out. He said he set the record for the fastest person ever to be kicked out of the Elbow Room. he wanted to do it. I told Pacini I was trying to stop him, but I couldn't. But there's all kinds of stories about that. I don't know. Mike Aldridge, I don't know. I know Bethany knows Mike. He's a Greenville guy. He was one of my teammates, baseball teammates. He read my book, and he called me the other day, and he said, I said, what did you like about my book? He said, I felt like I was back at school again.
Yeah.
And that's the feeling I've received now from a bunch of my teammates. It put me certainly back, and I felt like I was reliving this era. And a bunch of them had told me that. And I said, well, what do you really like? What did you, he said, you know what? He said, y'all let me get in. He was a year behind me or two. He said, y'all senior year, y'all let me get in the senior van. We traveled in vans or station wagons. We didn't have buses.
Wow.
He said, y'all let me get in the senior van, y'all's senior year. He said, what I like the most is we would stop at these little stores and buy a bunch of beer on the way back from away baseball game. That was one of the most important things he got out of the book.
Well, and one of the things I couldn't believe as I was editing and reading over Dickie's chapters is his memory is just impeccable for details. And, it's everything from what happened during a certain football game, during a certain drive, to what did they do the night before a game when maybe they stayed out a little later than they were supposed to, and what type of punishment was awaiting them on the practice field the next day. But very detailed. So many humorous stories. I mean, I laughed out loud so many times. And then you mentioned, the Marshall situation, Dave, just his memories of that Marshall game and playing in it, and, just the devastation of hearing the news of what had happened. I mean, it really, there's so many different emotions, and, but it was so striking to me the way he did remember the color of a story, because I'm a storyteller and I don't want broad strokes. I work with high school seniors on college essays. I'm in the middle of that right now. And I always say, give me detail. I need detail. That's what makes a good story. And Dickie just intuitively knew that and has those details at his command after all these decades, which I think is something special.
I remember one of your teammates, John Casazza, the quarterback, saying that when he was on and he got really emotional, saying the only thing wrong about that game is that Marshall should have won the game, and that way they would go out as winners. And he talked about, and I wanted to ask you, he talked about that he really struggles. He's had a hard time dealing with that, with the fact that, like, I don't know if it's like guilt or what, the fact that y'all won the game and that they lost, and then of course, unfortunately lost their lives. But I just thought that was interesting, that having to live with that, knowing that you won a game when you had no idea that something like that, a tragedy like that, would ever happen. But I just wondered how, as another teammate of his, how do you feel about that whole thing with Marshall?
I've never thought about it that way, because I don't think it would have mattered either way. I just really don't. I think the thing that stands out with me in that game, it was such a hot, when I wrote I have a chapter on that. It's not a long chapter, but it's a chapter. And I started to write it, and I said, you know what? I need to watch it first. So I had to go back and watch the game to get a feeling of the game. It was just a hard fought, bruising. Look, neither one of us were, neither one of us were like great teams. Okay, we were good, but we weren't like fighting for a championship. But you couldn't tell it from that game. The hitting was brutal. The hustle was brutal. It was a brutal game physically. So I never looked at it like who won. It's just, that didn't matter. It was when we found out about 2 or 3 hours. We were I was at a party somewhere, Village Green Apartments.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember those?
10th Street.
Yeah, that's where I lived. When I was in grad school, I was a grad assistant football coach. But anyway, that's where I lived when I was in grad school. And we were at a party there, and people and other players were elsewhere. I don't, everywhere, all over Greenville. We didn't have a curfew that night. And then somebody came in and said, we had to, it was some kind of music playing. They said the Marshall plane went down about an hour ago or something like that. And, just like the music stopped. It was devastating. It was just devastating. It still is. It still is.
I remember in the movie, I believe, where they actually were showing a film there in Huntington, and they had the guy, like, was it the guy, like, what they were showing a film, and they stopped the film and announced the plane had crashed. But I just wondered, like, I hear stories from people that were around Greenville during that time. There were college kids that they were at different places, and the words, even though there's no social media, obviously no internet, any of that, no cell phones, but the word just spread like really fast.
It did. We had a memorial that night, I think at 2:00 in the morning. All the players came back to the dorm or came back to, I'm not sure, maybe it was Wright. I'm not sure, Wright, the Wright building.
Auditorium. Mm-hmm.
Auditorium, yes. I think that's where it was. And it was 2:00. We had a deal there. Then the next day we did it. And in the book, I talk about my teammates. Some of them had friends on Marshall's team. One teammate had a coach that coached him in high school on Marshall's team. One teammate, well, not a teammate, and I'll tell this quickly. I don't know how much time we have.
Whatever you want, however long, Bethany, however long you'll have.
Anyway, she lives in Richmond now, and this is a really sad story, but she was the head cheerleader at Marshall. And her parents were both, her father was a doctor and a big contributor, and I think the doctor of the football team or something. And they didn't fly much. They always went on buses. And somebody told me this was the first time they had ever flown, but I'm not sure about that.
Wow.
But she said the athletic director called her up and said, look, I have 3 seats. All the supporters, her parents were going and other doctor friends and whatever. He said, I have 3 seats. If you want to go and get 2 of your cheerleaders, on your squad to go, y'all can come on the plane. And she told him right away, if we all can't go, none of us are going. So she skipped class on Friday to meet her parents for lunch. On that Friday afternoon, she had lunch with them. They got on the plane and she never saw him again. So I talk about some of that, and that's the saddest. Look, this book was it was fun and happy for me until I got to that part. And I told Bethany, I said, Bethany, this has got to be a separate chapter. Yeah. It was hard to get through. It was just hard. It was very hard to get through it. Yeah.
One question.
What's the kind of feeling everybody had?
Dick, I wanted to ask you, because I've always wanted to write a book since I was like, you have in fact, my kids have you just reminded me, I need to save a lot of money for next week. I think it's next week I have a book fair, but for middle school. So, where I'm going to be spending my money next week. But as far as the book itself, what did you learn during that process about yourself? About like the writing part of it, like how hard for those of us that want to write a book. Bethany makes it look easy, like she has those great books, like just churns them out. How hard was it?
Wow. Well, first of all, I had no idea what I was getting into. Bethany said, "Oh, you can do it. It'd be no big deal." And Tracy Roberts.
Of course, she's going to say that.
Yeah, right.
I don't think I said no big deal. I think I'm being misquoted.
She may have been. I don't know. But she told me how to do it, and I broke it down. Look, this is the deal. My mom. Well, let me start back. The student center at ECU, the old student center. I take it, Dave, you and Johnny both went to ECU, right?
I did. Johnny
I did not.
Johnny has become a fan, but we need more Johnnies out there because that's the reason why we have the struggles we have. That's a whole nother show, as they say. But thank goodness for JR, for Johnny Robertson. We're grateful for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm grateful for Pirate Nation.
Yes.
Johnny's the kind of guy that Johnny's the kind of guy that if it's a regular football game and we're coming back and we're flying back into Pitt Greenville, Johnny will be one of the first people there to welcome back the team. That's
man,
with football, baseball, whatever, basketball. That's
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
he's
you.
awesome. So when I graduated in 95. In the 90s, we had the student store was more central campus where it is now. I miss that Wendy's. That Wendy's was a great Wendy's. They used to make back then, even in the 90s, they were making well over $2 or $3 million a year. I don't know if it's good for our health, but
No.
all the fraud fees and the.
I don't know if we're still talking about the same student center. The one it was right in the middle, right around the corner from right across from the Raw building, the business.
That's where it was. Yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, I would go in there. I love reading the papers. I talk about it in the book. I love sports and reading since I was 11 or 12. I would go in there, and I've never seen so many newspapers. They had the News and Observer, not just one copy, like 5, 10 I don't know, the Daily Reflector, sometimes the Charlotte, whatever, and the student newspaper. So I would that's where I learned all my stuff about what team I was on, how I was on the third team because I didn't go to spring drills, all that kind of stuff. But I would keep those sports sections and I would mail them back to my mom every 2 weeks. I would just gather them up and go mail them back. So when I started to get back to your question, when I started to write this book, I said, man, I've got this. She made this great scrapbook for me. It was awesome, but it was literally papers from 55 years ago. So they're all brown and whatever. So I took my scrapbook apart and I divided it up into seasons. That's what I did, I think, in December and whatever. And I said, okay, where do I go from here? And so then I just took it, you can't eat an elephant in one bite. So I just took it one at a time. And I would spend every day, literally every day. It may not be 8 hours. It could be 3 hours or 2 hours or 1 hour, but every day I would hit it. And I would write it on a yellow pad. I tried to do it on my laptop, but I couldn't do that. So I just write it on a yellow pad, and then I would type it in. And then every week or so, Bethany, she would edit I said, my book sucks, doesn't it?
He did say that a lot.
I say that a lot. I said, what do you think? It sucks? She said, no, it's okay. It's okay. So anyway, that's how I did it. Other people that have written books at ECU, they've gone to join a library. They've gone to, and even Bethany, I think, went to the ECU athletic department and got pictures and stories or whatever. I don't know. I did it all from what I had. I never went to anybody outside of what I had. And I think it turned out pretty good. I really do. I'm proud of it. I talk a lot I think when you read my book, you'll understand my love for ECU, my love for my teammates, and for my memories that I had. I felt literally, when I was writing, I felt like I was back there. I felt like I was right there. I talk about a squeeze bunt play in baseball, and I was right there. It was just like watching a video. It was unbelievable.
Wow. That's great. In fact, let's see.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
Dave, before we wrap up about baseball, I have one comment about baseball and then one question for Dickie about baseball. So you mentioned already Ron Hastings and Hal Baird being in the Hall of Fame, and of course you're in the Hall of Fame. And you also had Dennis Burke and Richard Nairn, and your manager Earl Smith was in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it's
incredible.
Crazy. That's a crazy collection of Hall of Famers on, at one time. So, I mean, I don't know that we'll ever see that again. That's truly remarkable. But in regards to Hal Baird, do you have any thoughts or memories about his 20 strikeout game against George Washington?
I would absolutely. And I write about it in my book, actually.
Johnny got the book. Yeah.
Fantastic game. 20 strikeouts. I think he struck out 5 in a row, or 5 in a row, and then 8 in a row. It was unbelievable. We didn't talk to him when we came off the field. We didn't even look at him. It was incredible. 20 strikeouts.
Yeah, and he had 5 games of 12 strikeouts or more. So, I mean, it wasn't like a one-time thing for him. He had a 16 strikeout game against VMI. But Ron Hastings, I think he might have had 8, 9, or even 10 complete game shutouts. He did.
Yeah. He did. He did. And like I said, that year he led the ERA. He led the nation in ERA. That 1970.
Man.
Yes.
I think it's ironic because JR, I'll just say this, and JR, don't kill me, but he's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I haven't read the book. And you have, you've done an excellent job, my friend, of show prep for tonight. So I've got, if I had a hat on, I would tip my hat.
Dickie's history made it easy.
Yeah.
You guys will have a book in the mail tomorrow.
Well, thank you very much.
You will love it. You will have a great time with it. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So Bethany, what I'm going to ask you, I'm not going to ask you what your favorite book is, because that's like asking me who's my favorite kid of the two I have. What did you learn about Dickie, about the whole process? Is there something new that you've been doing it for a few years? Obviously, what did you learn?
I mean, I think I've collaborated on a lot of books, and every situation, every relationship of a collaborative, book production is different. I think with Dickie, just his passion for his subject came through, and it made it a delight to work with him, because I wanted, not quite as badly as he did, but I was very motivated to help him make this a reality, because it was obvious that it meant so much to him and it meant so much to his teammates. So, from the very beginning, it was like, oh, there's really a motivation. And I'm a Pirate fan too. I live 2 miles from, the football stadium from Dowdy Ficklin, and I'm a baseball season ticket holder. And so for me, it was like, no, this book does need to exist in the Pirate Nation. And I could see that. So some of the books I collaborate on, I don't have a personal stake in the same way. So it was really a lot of fun to help make that a reality.
Dick, I did have a question, being that we have Matt Semenza, former linebacker in the Logan era, on our show as one of our panelists, but one of the co-hosts. But talk about going back after your playing days. What is it like now watching a game when you played on that field? How is it nerve-wracking? Do you cheer more? Do you say, man, I wish I could go out there with those guys? I mean, what is it like?
I do not wish I could go out there with those guys. No. It's one of the highlights of writing the book had nothing to do with the physical writing. It had to do with the cover of the book. I had a hard time deciding what I wanted to do with the cover, and so finally Bethany said, okay, I think we need to do a live shoot. We were trying to use some old pictures of me on the cover. It just didn't work. So one of the highlights was in July, me and Bethany and Amanda, the photographer, went out on the football field, the 50-yard line, at like 10 o'clock in the morning. It was a gorgeous day, and we did the photo shoot. And it was like, wow, here I am on the 50-yard line, where I've been many times before, in the huddle with my parents at Parents Weekend. I remembered the Marshall game. I mean, all these memories came to me just during the photo shoot. And I was there before Bethany and Amanda got there. So I was out on the field before they even got there, and it was like kind of spooky. It was nobody in the stadium. It was nobody. And then finally Matt Maloney came out.
Big guy.
Big guy came out. and we had fun with him for a few minutes. Yes.
Yeah.
I love that guy. I was in New York, and he's one that I will say, and I mentioned this to the administration, but big guy Matt Maloney. Speaking of being in the Hall of Fame, he needs to be in the Hall of Fame. That guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
That guy is a bigger pirate than some of our pirates. Being a swimmer at South Carolina, and
Yes.
he's spent most of his adult life with us. And I'm in New York City last year before the Army game, and I stayed there. And so I was trying to find somewhere to eat. So I said, "Oh, there's the Hard Rock." So I go there. I'm by myself, and I really don't drink that much anymore. And they said, "We're going to sit you at the bar." I'm like, "Oh, great, all right." So they put me at the bar, and I'm eating like this overpriced big burger, and all of a sudden I really thought I was delusional. I was really tired. I hadn't slept much on the train, and I hear a big guy, and I'm like, "There's no way that's." And I look to my right, and there's a big guy, Matt Maloney. But he's like, the reason I bring that up, he's so dedicated, and I hope that my wish for him to get in the Hall of Fame, because more than athletes, he's been dedicated to our university. And anyway, that's my pitch for him to be in the Hall of Fame.
I totally agree, and I've told him the same thing. And yeah, but anyway, to your question, when I watch games, it's not easy. It's not easy. I don't want to be critical, and I try not to be, because I've been there. I know what it's like. I know what they go through. But I wouldn't want to be any other place than watching them. So that's all I can. I don't know how to answer that.
It's funny because I'm covering the Pirates again, and I told people there was a long time where in the fourth quarter we used to have to leave about the 7 or 8 minute mark, and so I find myself being still, even when I'm covering the Pirates. I have season tickets, but I also sit up in the press box. So it's easy when you're in the press box because you look at the scoreboard, all right, it's our time to go down and do the post game. But there's times when I'm there, just somebody else for us is covering the game, and so I'm there in my seats, and I still find myself going back to the middle 90s with Henry Hinton, and we had a Marantz recorder and this Bob Barker skinny mic that we had to go to the press box, get that, then run down, get the interviews instead of emails or anything like that. We ran it back up to play it on the post game show. So I always am antsy, a media person. I don't know, Bethany, have you had that happen where you feel like I'm supposed to be doing something right now? You're sitting in a seat watching a game.
Yes, I have. Yeah. Because I did game coverage back in the day as well. It's been a while, but I do know that instinct. Just somewhere we're supposed to be.
I'm trying to get
Judy and I were invited to a couple years ago. I don't know, 3 or 4 years. I'm not sure, 3 years. We were invited to go to the press box and watch the game. So I said, okay, I've never done that. That might be pretty cool. So we go up there, and I think Bubba was, I'm not sure he was there. Maybe he was the one who arranged it. I'm not sure. But we went up there, and they said, okay, I had all these nice programs and stuff in front of our chairs, everything you wanted to know about number 25. I mean, whatever you wanted to know. It was a stack of stuff.
That's awesome. So
they came by and said, they said, Dickie, you can't yell when we get a first down or something like that. He said, you can't cheer, you can't yell. I said, okay, this is the last time I'm going to be up in the press box. Okay.
Yeah.
It was very confining.
Yeah. That's tough to get used to.
Yeah. They always talk to us about, JR, I know JR knows, and Bethany obviously knows, but you can't wear ECU stuff because we're supposed to be neutral, not cheering. And so the guys give me a hard time, and I'm like, well, there's somebody that has to be the media person for our outfit. If not, there's no reason for a media credential. So somebody has to play the part. And next year is 30 years I've been in the business, so 3 decades. In fact, that's why one of the reasons why I started the show, I joke, is that nobody in Greenville would hire me to do sports, so I had to start my own thing. But as far as the Pirates go, we are very blessed. With Johnny is a perfect example of a guy who He came with us. He had his first media day, and we're having our first basketball media day on the 21st. So we're looking forward to that.
That's great.
We kept you guys a long time.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask Dickie a question that does not involve sports? And I told Bethany in the green room that I'm a fan of history of Pitt County and Eastern North Carolina. I'm just curious, just because the years you were a Pirate, 67 to 71 or 66 to 71, that was a very turbulent time in our nation with the Vietnam War. And in college campuses, you know, there was a lot of stuff going on. And I'm just curious. I've never asked anybody this before, but was East Carolina, was the campus at all involved with the war? Were there any protests? Were there any sit-in? I don't know. I'm just curious to know what you encountered.
That's funny, isn't it, Beth?
It is.
Because I devote a really small chapter to that.
Mhm.
It was crazy time. You had the Vietnam War, you had Dick Nixon in the White House, the Kent State shootings, Kennedy and Martin Luther King assassinations. All that went on when I was at school.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. Drugs. There were drugs everywhere. The first I'd ever been around drugs, seen drugs. All of that was going on, and I talk about that in the book. I do, but it was crazy. It was crazy.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to reading it. But, you know, I always say more sports, less drugs. I think the more kids get involved in sports, the less drugs there'll be. So
Yes.
No doubt.
No question about that. Yes.
Yeah. In fact, I was going to ask you, I did think of one more question. So being a history guy, I've loved the Scales Fieldhouse and the recent demolishing of that. I have mixed feelings because that was around, obviously, when I was around, even though it was older at the time. But I love the tailgating, the premium. I do like what they did in that space, so I'm happy about that. However, the history of our university as far as like Christenberry Gym, one point they were talking about getting rid of that, and I was like, that's the first basketball gym. You better not get rid of it. It's like Hoosiers for ECU. If you've seen the Hoosiers movie, it's got that kind of feel. And I played like intramural basketball there when I was like a sophomore. But anyway, what are your thoughts about that? Places like Scales Fieldhouse that was recently torn down in the summer, where that's like our history.
Yeah, because I lived there for 4 years, 2 seasons. Baseball was on one side, football was on the other side. It was funny. This past, I think it was maybe in November, or whenever our last football game was, I took a picture of Scales Fieldhouse, just not knowing it was going to be demolished. And it was before one of the football games, and I went, I just got to walk in there. So I walked in. It was a girl I don't know what she was doing. She was guarding the door, but I walked in and I just said, hey, and walked straight through. And just look, it was just a storage. It was nothing going on in there. It looked like, I don't know what it just storage. And I went, man, this is kind of sad. And I talk about Scales Fieldhouse in my book too.
Okay.
And, but what they've done now is really awesome. It is really awesome.
Yeah, they did a good job with that area. I was thinking that it was going to be a parking lot or some kind of just space there, and I'm glad that the administration did a really good job with that. And I do have a friend that we all know. I won't say his name, but he told me that there was like all these right before the demolition, there was all these like trophies, like Southern Conference, a lot of history in that building, and thankfully he was able to get a lot of that. So not because he was stealing it, but to preserve it, because he's like, why are we not have a special place with all these conference championships that we won back in the day? And I did want to mention before we let y'all go that one of the reasons why I started the podcast, speaking of history, is, and to each his own, but I love having players on that were before my time because I love history, and people may not know, but we started sports in 1932, and that was way before your time too. But I like to know. Unfortunately, we don't have those folks to talk to. That would be awesome to find more out about it. Like when, of course, World War II, we didn't have sports during that time, and for obvious reasons. But we have the show because we want to have people on like yourself who have a big history, and there's a lot of people that know just the current history of ECU, like the last 5-10 years of players. But there's a lot of guys like yourself, and I know Johnny and Bethany would agree that I'm so happy you did this book, because there's a lot of us that we love sports, we love history, and there's kind of like this missing connection. So like eras that we don't know about. And so it helps us like with the Pat Dyer or the Stas era, like the McGee era, like all the different coaches and all that kind of thing. So thank you for doing the book. I know when I say a labor of love, that's probably the cheap thing to say, but I know you worked really hard on it, and you have a great professional, a champion of writing right beside you that was with you every step of the way. Is there any final thoughts that you'll have before we let you go?
Yeah, it was a labor of love. It was a truly, and I think I'm sure I say this somewhere in the book, that, like I said, I felt like I was literally right back 50 years ago at shortstop or on the 50-yard line. Because of this book, I got to meet Coach, baseball coach, Bethany. Godwin. Sorry. Yeah.
Godwin. Yeah.
And he took me out to shortstop. And so I just said, man, here I am at shortstop again. I mean, it was just like, wow, labor of love. And I got to say, I don't know what I would have done without Bethany. I swear.
She's awesome.
So awesome. Hey, and I'm not letting her off the hook now. I mean, we still meet. We did not. I realized we didn't meet last week, and that was probably the first time in 8 months we haven't met once a week. But thank you, Anthony. You were awesome.
Oh, I'm glad to help. It's been a ton of fun, and I'm just glad the book exists, because it's going to mean a lot to so many Pirates for years and years and years. These stories are now captured. So I'm grateful.
The main thing I want to do now is I haven't been able to do this because I've kind of ran out of my first allotment of books, but they came today, Bethany.
Yeah.
So now I can truly advertise and say I've got books. I couldn't do that because I didn't want people to order books and I not have them. So I've got them. I want to get them into pirate hands, and I think they're going to like the book. I've gotten a lot of great feedback from people who've read it already.
Well, I wanted to say that, and I'm going to take the job of Bethany here for a second. She doesn't know where I'm going, but I'm hoping selfishly for myself and a lot of Pirate fans, if you'll put the book at UBE or there, because I think there's a lot of Pirate fans, and today's October 1st, and the holiday season is right around the corner. What a great Christmas gift!
Yeah.
I'm in the promotion business, so Dick, so
Well,
you're going to sell your book for Christmas books, holiday books. Buy it.
We have good news, don't we, Dickie? Because the book is at UBE.
Yes.
So
it's at UBE, and Bethany and I were talking about it today. The quickest way to get my book is to go to eBay. They're awesome. I don't know if you guys use eBay, but everybody uses eBay.
I love eBay.
And they're awesome.
It's been too much on eBay, but that's.
But anyway, all you have to do, you go to eBay. All you got to do is type in "I Am a Pirate." That's the name of my book. I Am a Pirate, and it pops right up. You may have to scroll down 3 or 4 items, and there it is. It's easy. And then plus, they tell me it's been sold. They send me a mailing label that's got tracking on it. The buyer can track it. I can track it. It happens so quick. I sent one out Monday to a former player. He wasn't a teammate, but he came a little later. He emailed me today said, I've got your book today and I've read half of it and I love it. It's so awesome. And like that, I went, wow, that's eBay. Like in 2 days.
Yeah.
So that's the best way to get it. If you're in Greenville, you can go to UBE.
Do you have it at your tailgate where you can sell it out of the trunk of your car?
Absolutely.
Elmhurst. He's over there next to Elmhurst, across from
Scoreboard.
Blackbeard's Alley, kind of that,
Oh, wow. That's where I am. So I'm going to get this booked and I'm going to come by and I'd be very honored if you would sign it.
Well, I'm gonna send you one signed.
Oh, awesome. I'll still come by the tailgate.
Please
right.
do.
Send the Pirates to the tailgate. That's a
I would
place.
like to close by saying thank you to Bethany for coming on the show and helping this book come to fruition. I can't wait to read it. And as far as Dickie goes, I mean, I'm honored to spend the last hour hearing you, talk about your dedication and love for Pirate Nation, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, that's an honor hearing from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to both of you. And Bethany, don't be a stranger. I know that anytime you have a book, you know that I'm a huge fan of your work. You've been doing great for many, many years. So, and I'm appreciative for all of being around Pirate Nation. There's like so many books and things that have happened because of you being here. And I think the first time I met you when we were at the Bagel.
Yeah.
And recording there, and I believe you said, did you come in around Hurricane Floyd time?
99. I came 1 month before Hurricane Floyd.
Yeah. See, my memory, it's good.
Yeah, that is very good. Yes. So been there quite a while.
For a long time. Well, thank you to both of you. And Dickie, please let us know. We have our social media, so we'll be glad to promote your book anytime. Just to let me know. And Bethany, the same.
Of
and
course.
we're promoting it as much as possible because we want you to sell thousands of copies. I was even thinking about you doing book signings. I hope you'll do that around Greenville.
Yeah, the two things I want to do at our next home game, if I can, I assume the Pirate Club will let me do this, is do a book signing at the new tailgate area, right there at Scales. Cool. That's the first thing. And what's the second thing? I can't think of it now.
UBE, maybe. I don't know if that's what you're going to say, but UBE might do one as well.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to say was, if I'm fortunate enough to sell enough books, the net proceeds are going to go to the Pirate Club.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's I talk about that in my book. I don't want to make one dime. I'd like not to lose a dime, but if I do, so be it. But I would hope I could sell enough books that that I could, make a donation to the Pirate Club. And David, one thing you should know: writing the book ain't cheap.
Okay.
It ain't cheap.
So I got to save my pennies for.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, it's a lot of upfront stuff. So I'm sure you would do great.
All right. Well, thank you both. It's been an honor, and I hope we haven't kept y'all too long. But it's one of those things with a podcast. I've had people that say all the time, the national podcast, they're like, wow, why is it so long form? I said, because this is kind of the way the medium of a podcast is great, because sometimes we have more of a traditional interview that may be a segment like 10 minutes, but I didn't think that was fair to you or Bethany to come on and just do like 7 minutes. We're not like television or like radio where you have like a segment and that's it and you're out of here, so thank you so much.
Well, thank you all. Thank you. I'm honored that y'all would ask me to be on the show.
Yes.
Absolutely. You're welcome anytime. You're a great pirate.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you both. Bye, Dickie. See you soon.
Bye, Bethany.
Bye.
And we're back with Johnny now. Johnny, I know we've got a lot of great. Johnny, I know that we have a lot of great stories we could tell, and we'll do that another time. But the two of us, this is unusual for us. Not a bad thing. Just
first, I believe.
Yeah, that you and I get to talk some, and I know the guys are working and they're doing different things, and I guess they want some wanted to take the night off. But, I thought this was a great idea to have for tonight because most of the time we wouldn't have a lot of time to devote to Dick and Bethany. And I just felt like that we could. I know it was killing Kyle yesterday. I've got an idea. And I wanted to make sure that I had Dick and Bethany before I told them what we were going to do. So anyway, Johnny, just want to get your thoughts after the interview, your thoughts, and then we'll move on to our next thing.
I mean, I've already stated my thoughts. Bethany is awesome, and the fact that she helped him get this book out there, probably wouldn't happen if it wasn't for her, honestly. And I appreciate her efforts, and I can't wait to read it. And he's an interesting dude. I mean, Dave, when I got the assignment, I was like, what am I? I have no idea. Like, what can I find out about this guy? That was so long ago.
Right.
But he's a very impressive gentleman, and I'm so glad that he's opened my eyes to that period of Pirate baseball and football.
That's going to make me go back and now not only read the book, but obviously study. I try to look over things, and as we bring in Kyle from LaGrange Barber, how are you, sir?
I got a logo on my face. There we go.
I'm trying to find the right one so it wouldn't say.
I just came up here for one reason, guys. I wasn't feeling great tonight, and so I was waiting for our guests to leave. I didn't want to come in the middle, but just wanted to make an announcement. We can say it officially. Holton Ahlers will be with us Sunday night at 8:00.
All right.
So
Who's that?
Who's that? He's somebody he's some guy who got to ECU because his daddy was the PA announcer. But
that is nice. That is a very nice poll.
Yeah, so Holton will be with us Sunday night. So that I can announce it officially. He did tell me to make sure I remind him, but so we'll start promoting that. So I just wanted to get the word out that Holton was going to be with us. Will be with us Sunday night, and we'll talk. We'll talk this year's ECU football team, obviously, but we'll also dive into his career, his time at ECU, and growing up a Pirate, and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be a hybrid show. No game this week, so it'll be nothing to really review as far as ECU football. So it'll be a good week to have Holton on, and we'll talk a lot about this year's team, maybe preview Tulane a little bit, and talk about his career. So, yeah, let everybody know Holton. Kyle from LaGrange will be interviewing, of course, and everybody else, Dave, JR, Stevie, and Matt. But I just think for people listening to Pirate Radio, Kyle from LaGrange, the tables have turned. I'll be interviewing Holton.
Hey, Kyle, I have to tell you, not only is it a coup to get Holton, but you're right. This is the perfect week. We don't have to be sidetracked by any upcoming game or talking about, a game that just ended. This is perfect. Done. Well done, Kyle.
I appreciate it. And JR, you're known as Johnny Stats, particularly on Pirate Radio. So you got to come up with some good Holton Ahlers stats.
I got them. I got them ready to go.
I'm honored that I'm with the Adventures. So
you are. You're with
the Adventures.
You're with the Adventures. That's right. That's right.
By the way, we had Dickie and Bethany. They were awesome. So we have Holton. I wanted to put that up there, but I wasn't going to put that up there on the crawl, as you see if you're watching or live, or if it's obviously archived.
Dave just got it. He literally just.
I figured that official. I said I know Kyle's on it. I know that Kyle's going to get it, but I'm not. That's just one of those things you don't do in media.
No, you definitely should not announce something until it's official.
So we have Dickie and we have Bethany tonight. We have Holton on Sunday, and then on Tuesday night at 8:00 we have a special Pirate football preview.
So we're doing it on Tuesday instead of Wednesday?
Right, because of our special guest, Corey Glore. He can't do it on Wednesday, so we have to do it on Tuesday night at 8. So the special programming note to get our preview in, and our good friend, hello, gentlemen, Corey Glore.
Corey Glore, a.k.a. Squidward.
Yeah, he's going to be on with us on Tuesday night. So think about that. You have Dickie and Bethany tonight. You have Holton on Sunday night. And then on Tuesday night, you have Corey Glore, and you're like, what are we going to do after that? Well, we have a ball game, so we'll have that.
Look, Corey was good to us.
Very good, man.
When he was the voice of the Pirate baseball team.
Yes, sir.
He did extra innings with us every Sunday night, and that was whether he was on the road or it was a home game, and did it for not a dime. Did not have to do that. I don't really think we realized how lucky we were to have him do that with us every Sunday night when he was the voice of the Pirate baseball
Initially,
team.
he was living in Winston-Salem because he was working for a
Yeah, he was working for Learfield or IMG, I guess it was still
IMG
then.
at the time that became they merged, and so he was having to work there and then drive all the way to Greenville or whatever.
Sometimes he would do it on the phone in between Greenville and Winston-Salem.
Yeah. So while we have you on, can you give us a few minutes?
Yeah, just a few. I mean, but yeah, what's up?
So I wanted to have this segment is brought to you by. No, I'm kidding. I wanted to talk about, if you can, briefly, and we can look those up. Do you have time to talk a few minutes about the big college football games that we have coming up this week? Since we have no Pirates, we can watch football.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, to a point. I'm more looking forward to the games in the American, Memphis and Tulsa. Obviously, we got Tulsa after Tulane and Memphis later on in the season. I think that's going to be an interesting game. I think that's a good. I'm curious for how good Tulsa is. They beat Oklahoma State, who Oklahoma State's historically bad. They were really competitive with Tulane for a half. So I have a feeling that Tulsa game in a couple weeks is going to be a really close ball game. So I'm really interested in the Tulsa Memphis game. But what games did you want to talk about?
Well, there's the game day is, of course, going to be in Tuscaloosa, or is it Vandy? Actually, Vandy, I guess.
No, I think it's in Tuscaloosa.
Tuscaloosa, right?
Yeah,
Okay, I was right.
Vandy.
But the Alabama Vanderbilt game, and Vanderbilt guys, I've always said that Vanderbilt used to, and Kyle knows, they would drive.
Vandy upset Alabama. Was that last year? Vandy upset Alabama,
and they took the goalposts. Remember that?
Yes,
all the way
it's in Tuscaloosa. I don't see them doing that 2 years in a row, particularly in Tuscaloosa. Now, I will say this: Alabama did just play Georgia, so you could be dealing with a little bit of that hangover. But I think the fact that Vandy beat them last year will help get them over the Georgia game.
I don't know what the line is, but I think definitely Alabama.
It's 10.5. 10.5.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Here's one that ACC wise, two teams that are brand name teams. They're back as far as where they used to be, or not used to be, but heading in that direction. I think number 3 Miami at number 18 Florida State. What do you think about that, Kyle?
Where's it at?
Tallahassee.
Florida State needs to bounce back after Virginia. I think one thing that hurt Florida State was after Alabama, they had an off week and played absolutely nobody up until UVA.
Right.
And UVA had played a tough schedule. Miami's played a relatively tough schedule. Notre Dame, South Florida. I like Miami in that one. But it wouldn't surprise me to see South Florida bounce back. I just think Miami's more battle tested.
Miami's a 4.5 point favorite in Tallahassee. I thought, Dave, when you were going ACC, two teams that are coming back, I thought you were going UVA at Louisville.
I haven't go for it. Yeah,
UVA lost to State, but that was not a conference game. So they have not lost a conference game yet, and neither is Louisville.
Right.
I'm looking.
I'm going to go ahead and make a bold prediction on that one. What's the line on that?
6.5 Louisville.
Yeah, give me Louisville to cover. UVA after that win over Florida State. Louisville's a good team at Papa John's Cardinal Stadium. My guess is Louisville wins that game. I don't know about handedly because I think UVA's good, but you do what the celebration that they had. I would imagine they've been getting their pats on the back all week, and now you got to go on the road to a good Louisville team that's now going to be hyper focused on beating UVA. So I like Louisville on that one.
Hey, Kyle, I've got one for you. How about number 21 Notre Dame against Boise State?
Yeah.
That's
Boise. Boise's not that good this year. Let me rephrase that. Boise's a good, quote-unquote, group of 5 team. They're a good Mountain West team, but they're not a elite team like they have been in the past. I think Notre Dame wins that handedly.
I agree, Kyle. They don't have the running game they had last year at all.
No.
And Dave, a couple other ones I'm looking forward to.
Go for it.
Is 4-0 Texas Tech at 4-0 Houston, and Mississippi State's 4-1. They're over or under for wins for Mississippi State was 3.5. So Jeff Levy has done an amazing job. Their defense is ridiculous. So I don't know. Maybe they can do something at A&M. A&M 4-0, favored by 14.5. But I'll be rooting for the Bulldogs there.
Texas
And,
Tech. Yeah, Texas Tech has been that team. They have a donor, don't they, Johnny and Kyle? That's
multiple.
Yeah, they have a donor there that I forgot the guy's name. That
Well,
he's I know it's a younger guy that played for Texas Tech off the top of my head.
Yeah, they went all in because this is the
Billionaire.
last true year for NIL, and I guess it's now or never.
exactly, Kyle.
Yeah.
It was like back in the day, T. Boone Pickens,
Right.
going to Oklahoma State, and
Oklahoma
Texas Tech had nobody. Now Texas Tech, they have all the money, and Oklahoma State has nothing.
And this guy's like 35, 40 years old, and he's a billionaire, multi-billionaire guy. I forgot his name, but he was an athlete. He maybe played football for Texas Tech, and
we got one of those guys, and he's given generously to basketball. I don't know that he's a big football guy, but he was.
Who's that?
Help me out, guys.
Oh, Garrett Blackwell here.
Yeah.
With the game, the gaming. Yeah. I thought you were going with that is I thought you were going to go do the Vince McMahon or
no. Vince doesn't give to basketball.
No, he doesn't. But up until that point, when you said basketball, that's when I knew who you were talking about.
Go ahead.
But yeah, we have people. Mr. Beast is from Greenville. Speaking of billionaires,
if I was the head of the Pirate Club or the AD at East Carolina, they would have to get Mr. Beast would have to get a restraining order from me.
I love it. I wish they would do. Hey guys, I was just thinking about this. How about if we have some kind of Mr. Beast thing inside Dowdy Ficklin and raise money, and all the money going to the Pirate Club?
You have to get them to be willing to do it.
Oh, I know that. In fact, by the way, Kyle, I don't know if you heard, but Dickie Corrada said that all the money that he makes off of the book is going straight to the Pirate Club. So let's
really,
yes.
Well, that's good. That's good. Is he gonna earmark it for revenue sharing or?
I assume that's where it's going, but I'm not 100%. But he definitely said he's going to write he wants to write a big check to the Pirate Club. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I wanted to let you know about that. So the book is at UBE, so you can get it there on eBay. I Am a Pirate, so you can find out that. But
I kept seeing eBay, and I was wondering if that was. Most time people put books for sale on Amazon, but I guess he wouldn't have repeatedly got that wrong. So, quickly wanted to run down the games of the American this week, and then I'm gonna get on out of here. Navy, Air Force, CBS. So you got the Armed Forces game. The Air Force not having a very good season, but you never know when they play Navy. The other games of note. Tulsa, Memphis, which I already mentioned, which is kind of to me the best game in the American this week.
That's on ESPNU, right?
It is, yes. Prime time on ESPNU. FAU at Rice, which also could be interesting. This one right here to me is an upset waiting to happen. 1 p.m.
Oh yeah.
In an empty Bank of America Stadium or whatever not Bank of America, the Link.
Lincoln Financial.
Up in Philadelphia. UTSA has to go play a 1:00 kickoff after traveling from San Antonio at Temple. It's got upset written all over it to me.
Is that like Arnie Span, your upset special?
Yeah, upset special number one.
Is that Kyle upset?
What's the line in that game, guys? Can anybody pull that up real fast?
I'll let Johnny.
UTSA?
UTSA at Temple,
by the way, Kyle, I haven't told you yet, Kyle, but I'm going to go to the ECU Temple game November 1st.
All right, cool.
So hopefully we don't have what I was going to. When you said that, I was like, yeah, you want to go, Johnny? I really want to go. That the tickets are only $38.
I might go. I might go to that.
Kyle and Jessica, but I understand it's a.
I'll be packing though.
What's that?
He said he'll be packing if he's going to be a
I'll
build
be packing.
Oh, yeah, man. City. I want to have take the kids to have a cheesesteak, all that kind of stuff. But we're going to drive up. Depending on when that game is. If it's a noon game, we're going to have to drive like at the middle of the night to get there. So
Yeah, I'm getting the line on the UTSA Temple game. This cannot be. This must be last year. That can't be the line.
I got it. It's 6.5. Temple's getting 6.5 at home. I'll take the points.
So
Absolutely.
UTSA is 6.5-point favorite on the road.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's stupid.
Yeah, I think that should be about. I like UTSA as the favorite, even though I think Temple pulls the upset, but it's not an upset if they're not the favorite. I would say UTSA should be about a 2 to 3 point favorite in that one, but I like Temple to pull off that upset. I hope they
Straight up?
don't. I hope Temple. Look, I think Temple is sneaky good, and I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
So I hope UTSA goes and wipes the
Temple
floor with it.
has. I mean, they have a good running game. They have a good passing game.
They have a good coach.
They're dangerous. They're dangerous. I'm more afraid of them than I am of UTSA. But
Really?
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I mean, honestly,
So you think Temple's better than UTSA?
well, at home they and getting points, absolutely. I'm taking
Okay.
them.
Okay.
I think UTSA is a better football team. I just think there's too many intangibles playing into Temple's favor in this game, and
Yeah.
Temple's not a bad team.
No.
There's not the rest of our schedule, with the exception of Charlotte, who will be playing, like they always do. They're with, it'll be their Super Bowl when they play us. That's the only bad team left on our schedule. I think a lot of people look at our schedule the rest of the way and think outside of Tulane and Memphis is easy. It's not. Tulsa is much improved. Temple is much improved. UTSA is pretty good.
FAU.
Florida Atlantic's getting better every week. It's the schedule the rest of the way is not easy, and
No.
I think everybody's circling 8 wins, and I'm telling you, if we get 8-4 with the remainder of the schedule, we had a really good season because the American is really good this year.
I agree, Kyle. FAU, we see them growing, especially offensively, every game. And, the game against Tulsa always plays us close. So that's not a gimme at all.
Yeah, you remember even when we hey, Kyle will get this reference, the Tulsa screw job.
Oh, 2020, yeah.
Oh,
God almighty. We'll ask Colton about that Sunday night. Remember that.
Yeah.
Look, I'll say this. I think that Tulsa game's going to be really close, and I know we got to get through Tulane first. And I'm not overlooking Tulane by any stretch of the imagination. I think I actually will probably pick Tulane to beat us. So that's kind of why I'm looking ahead to Tulsa, and it's the next home game. But I hope I'm wrong. By the way, I hope we beat Tulane. But that Tulsa, we got to win. We need to win a close game. We've blown 3 teams out. We've lost a close game, and then BYU is kind of somewhere in between. We need to win a close game, and if we beat Tulane, that's going to be a close one, no doubt. But I think in a couple weeks when Tulsa comes to Greenville, I think that's going to be a really close game. Historically, it always is, and I'm really anxious to watch them play against Memphis Saturday. I don't think their offense is stellar. I think their offense is okay, but I think they got a really good defense.
But I think their defense is a little thin because in the second half, their defensive line especially just got worn out and they couldn't get any pressure at all.
Tulane did that to Duke and Northwestern too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Good point, Kyle. That is true.
By the way, guys, crazy how the schedule is, but we only have, as y'all know, looking here at the schedule, still crazy to me that we only have 2 football games in October. Is that crazy? Is it me or is that nuts? Is that
right? Isn't Temple in October? Or is that technically is that like November 1st?
Yeah. It's crazy. We have
that's weird. I'm here. Yeah, that's weird. That's really weird because we have an off week this week, then we have.
You have 2 bye weeks now, so that's what the problem is that we have a bye week.
We have 2 bye weeks?
Yes. You have a bye week because you have the bye week, then we have Tulane and Tulsa back-to-back on Thursday nights. And then after October 16th, we don't play again to Temple November 1st. Yep.
I did not realize we had 2 bye
weeks.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. It's a crazy I don't know. Maybe it'll be good for us, but that makes me nervous when I see that not the first bye week. I think the first bye week, and we'll talk about that more coming up on next Tuesday night with the Tulane preview with our friend Corey Glory.
Well, I'm assuming that most everybody, normally you're
They
not
do.
the lone ranger. Most everybody has 2 bye weeks.
They do. I'm just saying that it's kind of
I
weird.
kind of like that before Temple.
Okay. All right.
In a way, because Temple's a game that historically we come out flat, and sometimes after a bye week you can come out flat.
Yep.
But you also have a chance to work on things, and I don't know. I hate playing at Temple. I do not. I'm not a fan of playing up there. I know Matt feels even more strongly about it than I do, but
You remember 2014?
oh, of course, yeah.
That
But
three fumbles.
Yeah,
It was raining. We were ranked. I think that's the last time that we were ranked that high. What was it, 16th in the nation?
Yeah.
And we should have easily beat them. And there's the turnovers and the rain, and that was one of those games where it's still frustrating to think about.
Yeah, we've had some good moments up there, but they've been few and far between. We had 2 wins up there when Holton was here. One in 2020 where Tyler Snead just went off.
Oh yeah.
And then in 22, where Holton throws across his body on a deep ball with about 1:10 to go for about a 40-yard touchdown. And that's the game that Bubba and I talk about so much, where Matt had completely gotten frustrated and
he
turned it off and thought we lost. And then he came back to the chat group, and me and Bubba were talking, about what happened. He's like, wait a minute, we won?
One thing I was going to ask you guys is that tonight, and we can save it if you want, I guess we can, but just an early preview, if you will, of what are your thoughts on after Tulane is the end of that's the 6th game, so it'll be the first half of the year. What are your thoughts about like offensive, defensively? Do you have like a grade for them? Do you want to wait on that? Do you want to table it to Tuesday night, or do
it's just me and JR, so it's probably better. I mean, we can do it, and then we'll give our quick grades here, and then we'll analyze it more between now and then.
Yeah.
I think defense, you got to give an A+. I think when you base it on expectations and performance, you got to give defense an A+ to date. Offense, again, expectations and performance.
Yeah.
I would say I would. How about this? Overall offense, I would say B-. Red zone offense, I'd give an F.
That is very fair. That is very fair because at one point they were our red zone offense was at 129. It was very low.
It's not good. But you know what? I will say this much. I mean, we're 20 of 29, but one of those failures was when we kneeled down at Coastal, and then they got a credit for a red zone stop.
Yeah.
They need to fix that. They need to fix that stat. That's ridiculous.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Failure.
It was a classy move by Coach, but I'll also say this, and I don't care about the stat, but
still, they should. I mean,
you're taking money. You can't. I'm sorry, and I hate to be this way, but we're donating money for touchdowns now. If you've joined that, and I think that should be promoted more. By not scoring, you're taking money off from revenue sharing. So I would have put 70 on Campbell, and I would have scored that touchdown on Coastal because it meant more money.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, Kyle.
They mentioned that, by the way, when they announced that at the kickoff luncheon, the football luncheon. They talked about when they brought that up about now you gotta you gotta score more.
I would. I really would.
I'm doing $10 a touchdown. So,
I'm giving something, but not $10. I already give monthly to revenue sharing, and I'm giving a couple dollars for each touchdown. So, it comes out on Tuesday. Anyway, I was going somewhere, and I've lost my train of thought. But the overall, I'd say. Overall team grade, because the offense, defense, special teams overall, B+ overall.
special teams?
Look, interesting. I didn't listen to the interview, and then I'm gonna wrap my part up, guys.
Okay.
I didn't listen to the interview with JDB on the Brian Bailey show, but our former colleague Bubba Rosenbaum gave me some highlights from it, and he kind of regurgitated the things we've been saying on the show. He said that in the red zone we need apparently again this is Bubba quoting JDB that we need to rely more on players instead of scheme, which is something we talked about. That we need to probably go down to rotating 2 running backs and let some guys get lathered up, which is something we talked about. We need to get Mike Wright more involved in the offense, which is something we talked about.
Yep.
And this I did like, and it makes sense. He said the reason they ran it so much and were so conservative in the second half against Army is because the way North Texas and Kansas State had a double-digit lead on Army at one point in that game, and so did North Texas. They beat Kansas State. They took North Texas to overtime. There were several 3-and-outs, and he said that their idea was, even if they didn't score, was to avoid any 3-and-outs once they got the lead. So once they got the lead, they went to a run game because they knew they probably wasn't their most effective way to score, but it would avoid any 3-and-outs. And to be fair, their game plan worked to perfection.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That makes perfect sense, for sure. I did have one thing I was going to tell you guys. The way that I break things down as far as the season is 4 quarters. So you have the first 3 games, the second 3 games, the third 3 games, and the fourth 3 games. And so just looking at the schedule, I was thinking about that this morning. I want to get y'all's thoughts. North Carolina State, Campbell, Coastal, we go 2-1. So far, Kyle, we talked about, you remember talking about this ad nauseum in the summertime? Schedule, the second 3 games, BYU, Army, and Tulane. So far, we've gone 1-1. Can we go 2-1 by getting a huge win on the road against Tulane? But that
we can, but I'm going to predict the loss in that game. But we can.
Tulsa, Temple, and Charlotte are the third 3 games.
We need to go 3-0 during that stretch. I don't want to go.
Right.
I don't want to be playing these last 3 games without having bowl eligibility secured.
Correct.
I don't want to play Memphis, UTSA, FAU without having bowl eligibility secured. So let's just, and I'm not saying we can't beat Tulane. Don't get me wrong, but let's just say we lose to Tulane, just hypothetically, if we're 3-3. You go win those next 3. You're 6-3.
Have the bowl, yes.
With Memphis, UTSA, and FAU ahead of you, you got bowl eligibility secured. And at that point, you've only got 1 conference loss. It will play out that way. And so you go into those last 3 games potentially with a chance to play your way in the conference championship game.
Now you're reading you read my mind. I was thinking about that this morning, and I'm glad that you.
If you beat Tulane, if you do find a way to beat Tulane, and then you take care of business against Tulsa, then you got some. That Temple game isn't nearly as scary. You'll want to win it because then it keeps you undefeated in conference. But if you stub your toe against Temple, you still got some wiggle room. So this is it. Bottom line is this. There really is no easy part of our schedule because this league is. It wasn't bad last year. This is as good as this league has been
in a while
since 22. So this league is very, very good this year. By far the best so-called G5 league. Is not even close. I mean, the Sun Belt. I think ODU is the class of the Sun Belt this year. I don't even know who's the second best team in the Sun Belt. JR, who would you say?
No, I was just going to say ODU is really impressing me what they're doing, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lose their coach after this season. Maybe
he might be he might in Blacksburg. Yeah. They're
really playing well on both sides of the ball, and they are the class of that conference.
And I believe they got Coastal this weekend.
Yeah, they do. They do.
So I don't even know. I'm trying to think quickly in the Sun Belt who would be the second best team, and I know Southern
It's an
Miss.
off year for them. I feel.
Do what now?
I feel like it's an off year for the
It
Sun
is.
Belt.
It's not a good year for the Sun Belt. Southern Miss is playing good football, but they've lost a couple games. They're a pretty good team this year.
What about Texas State?
Yeah, Texas State. Good point. Yeah, I forget about them because I already think about them headed to the
Texas State's
WAC-12.
already beat UTSA.
Yeah, so
But
Texas
yeah,
State.
you know
Texas
what,
State.
Kenneth? Yeah, thank you, Kenneth, because I'm still thinking of Texas State as a member of the Pac, whatever it is. Because
I'm going to call it the WAC-12 because that's what it reminds me of, the WAC-12. So it's Texas State by far is the second best team. Good call, Kenneth. Southern Miss is pretty good. God, beyond that, I'm trying to think who else is any good in this. How's Troy doing this year, guys? Either one of y'all, JR, do you know?
No, I mean
Okay.
they're underperforming, but I think they're a pretty good team. But the results haven't shown on the field.
Okay, so maybe Troy after Southern. So right now, off the top of my head, I'd say ODU, Texas State, and Southern Miss in that order. And Southern Miss has lost to Mississippi State and to a Louisiana Tech in Conference USA, who's going to the Sun Belt next year. Louisiana Tech has their best team in maybe a decade.
Yeah.
And so they beat Southern and Mississippi State did, but Southern Miss has kind of rolled over everybody else, including blowing out Appalachian and blowing out a pretty good Jacksonville State team.
They have I didn't realize they still had the divisions of West and East and
That's one thing I like about the Sun Belt is the traditional divisions.
Louisiana Monroe, Southern Miss, and Louisiana.
Yes, Louisiana Monroe's playing pretty good football. I forgot about them.
James Madison, Coastal, and OD are the
James
top.
Madison also playing pretty good football.
So there you go.
Quickly, I keep saying I'm done.
We're about to get out of here. I wanted to.
What in the hell? Speaking of Conference USA, what the hell happened to Liberty? I don't know what's going on with Jamie Chadwell and that Liberty team.
Wow.
They are atrocious. I really, really wish we could have had our return game this year.
Amen to that. I was wondering about because they're on Facebook. I've seen some.
Imagine if we had Liberty instead of BYU this year, we would be 4-1 right now.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But we'll probably get Liberty. We'll probably get Liberty and App back on our schedule when they're good again. But would love to play them both this year.
No doubt about it. So, do you guys have anything before we get out of here? Kyle, thank you for coming on. I know you were under the weather, but glad to have you on. And thank you for, by the way, if you're just joining us, Holton Ahlers will be with us. We don't have the Pirate football playback. It'll be because obviously we don't have a game. It's a bye week, so it'll be TSO.
Yeah, we'll still call it the Pirate football playback, but it's going to be it'll be Holton joining us, and then I'll have an interesting survey question, but I'll save that for Sunday or either Tuesday.
All right,
I'll pick up some good stats, Kyle.
No, it's not anything that really probably anybody is going to find that interesting. I just want to get everybody's reaction to it.
All right, and Tuesday nights. So we have tonight, Sunday night with Holton.
Hey, JR, how do you keep an idiot in suspense?
I'll tell you next week.
Okay.
Delaware is 3-1. Kenneth said as well. So,
yeah, Conference USA. Yeah, surprisingly 3-1. Yeah,
no doubt. But anyway, we'll have Holton on Sunday night, 8:00, and then our good friend Corey Glore will be with us on the preview that we normally have on Wednesday night. He couldn't do it, scheduling conflict. So special night for our preview will be Tuesday night at 8:00. So programming notes. Make sure it is going to be must-see TV. I'm going to steal the NBC online, but must-see TV on Sunday and Tuesday at 8:00. Do you guys have anything before we get out of here?
That's it.
All right, Kyle, hope you feel better. JR, brother, thank you so much. Had fun with you tonight. And thank you to Dickie Corrada and, of course, Bethany Bradsher. The book is called I Am a Pirate. He says, I looked it up, by the way, Kyle. It's not on Amazon, so maybe he is right.
It is eBay. Well, I figured after he kept repeating it that there was no way he got it wrong that many times. So, yeah, that's interesting. I always think of books being sold on Amazon, but, yeah, it's eBay apparently.
And you can also go to UBE in downtown Greenville, and they just stocked up It's a good problem to have. He sold out the first allotment, Kyle. Just got him in the new stock in today. So if you want those books, then make sure you do that. And he even is selling them out of the trunk of his car at tailgates at Elmhurst. So look for him over there. All right, we'll get out of here, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate you again to Dickie and Bethany. Thank you, Kyle, Johnny. We'll get out of here. We'll see you Sunday night at 8 o'clock with Holton Ailers. Until next time, go Pirates.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.